going on, Jeromes? So, of course, we know the Minnesota Vikings don't have a ton of draft capital. They have a first at 24, 97 in the third round, and a fifth and a sixth round pick, which is not a whole lot of things. Now, the Vikings certainly could and should look to trade down in 24, aside from a couple names that you just run up to the podium and submit the card. But as we said, it takes two to tango. And with the flatness of this draft from picks 15 to 100, there's going to be some really damn good players. I don't know if teams are going to be jonesing to move on up. But the Vikings, of course, can take take advantage of circumstances where there could be some scarcity in the draft. There could be a run out of a certain position that may behoove teams to move on up, notably quarterback. I mean, quarterback is the easiest one, especially the Vikings back into the first round. Got that fifth-year option. Rookie wage scale is pretty cheap. At 24, all that factors in. So Kwesi could look to who is that dude who multiplied the loaves and fishes? Kwesi's going to try and do that. All right. Long story longer, ESPN, the worldwide bleeder of viewers and readers and subscribers, which this might be a boomer take. It seems like almost all of the ESPN draft stuff is behind a paywall. And I don't know, it just feels like it should be more accessible to Joe 12-pack out there, but anyways, 2025 NFL draft buzz, intel, blah, blah, blah. Propose a late first round or second round trade that could make sense. Matt Miller, longtime Bleacher Report draft writer, ESPN for a fistful of years. This is what he wrote. The Minnesota Vikings trade number 24 to the Cleveland Browns for number 33 and 94. With only 4 picks in this draft, Minnesota needs to collect more draft capital and continue adding young, inexpensive players to this rooster. Big contracts of the Viking stars could put them up against the salary cap. Moving back 9 places allowed them to do that. Cleveland, meanwhile, gets the chance to jump back into round 1 if Dart or even Sanders are still available. And, of course, Kwesi and Browns GM Andrew Berry go way back like chiropractic. Kwesi was assistant to the regional general manager for 2 years, so that line of communication is very open. Trade chart-wise, now, I know a lot of people are saying, hey, you move down 9 spots and you only pick up a third-round pick, 94, only? So it really is in the eye of the beer holder, where the updated Jimmy Johnson chart has the Browns winning it 740 versus 704. But then the updated Fitzgerald Spielberger chart, the Vikings crush this one, 1911 to 1389. So it is sort of whatever. Now, ideally, it would be nice to pick up a little bit of extra draft capital as well, like maybe that fourth rounder, 104 or 179. But it's a spot where if the Browns are really moving up for a quarterback, you would think that the Vikings would have real leverage in this spot. Now, Kwesi has talked about, like, he doesn't want to screw over other teams in trades because you might have to do business with them before. He specifically said that about the Lions of Brad Holmes in the 2022 trade down from 12 to 32, which I don't know, man. I don't know. But, of course, he and Andrew Berry, I don't think he's going to screw over his guy, so I don't know. Like, obviously, you like a little bit more, especially since the Browns are replete with 6-round picks. They have 4 of them, including the Vikings, which it's just kind of funny. But I don't know. Now, I do think that there are going to be a couple of trade down options for the Vikings. So I think 4 teams lead the way. The Bills at 30, the Chiefs at 31, the Browns at 33, and the Giants at 34. Now, it's a maximum of a drop of 10 picks, which ain't bad, especially given, like we said, the flatness of this class. I think at 34, you're going to get a similar caliber player as you will at 24. Like, there's a plateau probably outside of the top 6, and then it's relatively flat all the way through the top 100. And I think that there's going to be a lot of really good players in day 2, so having as many bites at the apple as possible is going to be really important. Now, like we said, the board could create an artificial scarcity for certain positions, and a team like the Bills, they want to add edge, they want to add a cornerback. So if a certain one is available, or if there's a run on those positions before the Vikings is 24, the Bills may be like, hey, we got to move, otherwise we could be SOL, and we don't know if a certain player is going to last another 6 picks. Same thing with the Chiefs on offensive tackle. I think if there's a run on tackles, and it could be in the teens and early 20s, the Chiefs may want to move up, secure their guy, and go from there. And as well as the Browns and the Giants. I mean, quarterback is quarterback, so I think the Vikings can leverage a little bit of something extra out of that. Now, of the 3 teams, they do have some nice capital, especially the Chiefs, with the second rounder 63 and the high third rounder from the Titans. So I think that there's multiple ways that the Vikings can get value and trade back and have multiple swings at this thing in day 2. I think Kwesi certainly will be cooking with gas in that spot, but I don't know, like, you have to try and create a market, and it could be a spot where the Vikings just have to stick and pick because they're not getting the trade offers that they want. Like, say the Browns are the only game in town, but instead of offering 33 and 94, they offer 33 and 104. And anywhere you slice it, that's probably a bad deal for the Vikings. You're dropping down and not gaining too much. So the Vikings may pass on that. Oh, but Kwesi should trade down. Sometimes the market ain't there, and the market is the market, man. So who really knows? Honestly, if it goes down like this with the Browns trade, again, chart-wise, I mean, you can slice it up any way that you want. I think in the flow of things, if Walter Nolan, if Derek Hammond, if Emanwari, if Barron aren't on the board, go ahead. Go ahead. And then, of course, that Vikings draft party is going to get really quiet because the Vikings have the first pick at the top of the second round. Also, since they've divided up day 1, day 2, the Vikings at 33 could be in the pole position because Kwesi could field calls all night for that pick, especially if there's a certain quarterback still available and teams want to go up and get their guy. So Kwesi may be able to crack 33 and turn that into even more day 2 draft capital. But it's getting ahead of ourselves there. On its face, again, everything depends on what would be there on the board at 24. I mean, hell, if Will Johnson or Kenneth Grant or Starks are there, I mean, just go do it. But we'll see. Anyways, your thoughts are our thoughts. ESPN, the worldwide bleeder, projects a trade with the Vikings and the Browns. Let us know your thoughts, our thoughts, their thoughts, comment section. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skol, production value.